10 years, how is going to be the audit profession? And it's all about embracing technology, embracing analytics, auditors being courageous to take an advisory role and moving away from their comfort zone to be partners of the business and to provide assurance with advisory. I don't see this happening if we don't work with technology. And technology is evolving. Probably if we have a conversation in 1 year, we're going to have new topics, new solution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audit Podcast. I'm your host, Trent Russell. Today on the show, we have Rafael Kon. Rafael is the Chief Auditor at Mitsubishi Power. If you're watching the YouTube version of this episode, you can see I have his LinkedIn pulled up, and kind of his tagline at the top says, dedicated to aligning internal audit with strategy, enhancing risk management, and driving process improvements with automation and data analytics. Usually, if you've listened to the show, you know I go in and talk about, hey, this is what Rafael and I talked about, and we hit on those so everybody kind of knows what's coming up. That description, though, in Rafael's LinkedIn profile pretty much nails it. Those are the topics that we hit on. More specifically, though, we do talk about connecting internal audit, again, with the company's strategic goals, the importance of data-driven processes, tools, how auditors need to get out of their comfort zones, Rafael's views on audit co-sourcing. He used to not be a fan of it at all. He talks about why and then why he is now. We talk about Vision 2035 from the IIA and how to measure internal audit success, amongst other things. With that said, here we go. Rafael, what is in either internet browsing history or your LLM history, ChatGPT, Copilot, something like that? What's been going on in your world lately?
Yeah, I have been been doing some research on youth sports. So I have a 12-year-old kid. He's into soccer, and we are looking at different ways to and discussing with him to improve his performance. It's becoming very competitive. When these kids they move to the teenage phase, it's something difficult. A lot of challenges, mental and physical challenges, not mentioning the sport itself. So that's something that we are looking and also trying to find ways to improve his performance and to be a good team player as well. But when we are raising our kids, it's like a video game if you think about it. Every phrase that you go by, it becomes more difficult, more real world problems or the, the actual life, everything that's going on with them, it mirrors the real life. And when they're approaching this transformation, like from child, teenager, a lot of challenges. And I like to use sports as a good metric. It's not going to be always nice, smooth, fun. It's supposed to be fun, but at the same time, you're going to face challenges that you need to overcome. So that's pretty much what you would see in our browsing history on these days.
Mine is very similar as a dad of a 6-year-old boy who's playing like every sport. That's pretty much what I'm using it for. Also, YouTube, how to do this. YouTube, how can we do this better? Whatever it is. But I like that you said the mental side of it. There's a book I'll recommend called Relentless. It is kind of insane. Almost the expectation that the author puts on the reader of like, if you're not this, like if you don't have this Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality, then you're never going to make it. It's kind of how it reads, but there's some really good, so it's kind of tough, honestly, but there were some really good quotes that I have highlighted. And the one that stuck out to me was, and I know I'm going to have to use it one day, but like a kid's going to be nervous one day for a game or like a moment in the game. And so the author of Relentless said something like, he told one of his clients this, he trains like NBA players or something, mental and physical, and said, if you're nervous, imagine how your opponent feels knowing they have to go against you. And I went, whew, I got a little chill just saying that right now. And like, I can't wait if he's like pitching a game, it's a big moment. And if he's nervous, be like, dude, how do you think the batter feels knowing he has to go against you right now? And so hopefully that'll work. So you mentioned J-SOX, and there's some folks that might not be familiar. I'm going to high level say it's SOX for Japanese companies. That's the easiest way to say it. It's been a long time since I've done any J-SOX testing.
Yes, there are a few differences, but in a nutshell, the J-SOX was inspired by the US SOX back in the early 2000s. It has the same structure. And being listed in Japan, like the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Group and Mitsubishi Power, it's a big part in terms of revenues, in terms of results for the group. It's something that our shareholders they pay very close attention. And you can think about this is part of the Japanese culture as well. So in Japan, we have a huge responsibility of our shareholders, and the internal audit, the internal controls, finance, IT, all of the groups involved in the testing, and also the ones that own the controls, they should be accountable for them. In other companies, and I have worked in other companies doing SOX and J-SOX, and probably my peers, my colleagues, they have heard that. Some people, they call these SOX or J-SOX controls like internal audit controls, or the controls, they belong to the auditors or your controls. And I always say, it's not mine, it's not from my team, it's yours.
Mhm.
It's your control. If you're from IT and there are SAP access right controls, I'm sorry, these controls, they do not belong to internal audit. You should be the one accountable, and we help them to identify the responsibility. Sometimes the controls, they are not clear. If you think about the description of a control, who is executing what, they might be hybrid. With technology, we may have situations where there's responsibility share, and it's up to us to educate the process owners, the teams involved on that, in order to build this trust, the relationship. I tell my team and everybody that I work with, it would be great if you have to interact with people without having to share, hey, I have a problem to discuss with you, I have an issue. If you just embrace the advisory role and they would come to us just to, hey, can you help me on this, on that? But our assurance hat should be a strong one. We need to be comfortable to have difficult conversations, but always targeting the same objectives. So if the organization has a strategic objectives that they need to achieve in a certain time frame, the head of internal audit teams, they better be aligned. They better know what's going on to assess risks and opportunities with the business leaders.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple times about connecting the company's strategic goals with internal audit, and I'm just going to give the floor to you and just kind of walk us through that in a little bit more detail, if you can. I know you've shared this infographic with us, so I'm going to pull that up for the folks that are listening through iTunes or Spotify or something. If you go to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. So I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to give you the stage, and then I'm going to pull that up as you go. Hey everybody, we're going to take a quick break from our guests, and if you need to get analytics or AI actually working in your internal audit department, or if you already have some of it, you feel like you're not really getting exactly what you need out of it, you know there's more, you're not getting that, go to the show notes, look for the Green Skies Analytics link, click it. On the website, there'll be other links that you can click that'll take you directly to a calendar to schedule time. It's literally 3 clicks to get the time scheduled, to get it figured out. All right, back to the show.
What we did when we started implementing or discussing our audit plan or our audit strategy, let's go back a little bit. So it's all about connecting the strategy of the company with your own strategy of your department. So what's your mission, your vision, how you set up your audit charter, how would you interact with your audit committee, with the board, with the senior leadership. And what we see in this screen, it's a chart from Protiviti that they launched several years ago. It's called Next Generation Internal Audit, where they include governance methodology and the technology that you want to include. So that one was like a one pager that I used it with the audit committee, with the board, with the senior leadership to show very quickly and maybe in 30 seconds what was the vision that we should have for the internal audit function at Mitsubishi Power. So the first thing that we wanted to start was with a strategic vision. When I joined the company, it was clear that our controls, our J-SOX environment was non-negotiable. So we have an annual plan to address and test those controls with our parent company. And at the same time, what else? What's the expectation of the internal audit role? Is it to improve processes, to enable technology within the audit process, and move to a continuous monitoring? Do we want to do spot audits or regular checks, regular audits that we would provide inputs on a continuous basis? And at the same time, to assess the appetite of the organization to new ideas. Do you like audit reports with 10, 20, 40, 100 pages? Or Are you more into the one or two pages, or even people sometimes they are comfortable with emails or an auto notification saying, "Hey, there is an audit finding for these. Here's the action plan, and we're gonna monitor." So that discovery phase was important, and I could hear different things. And but it was great to set up the expectations and what would be our vision. With that, we established our structure and we started to work with HR and other functions, especially in IT and finance, to identify talent. Part of our goals here was to identify people that would not be the typical auditor with a CPA or even a CIA that would like to join this journey. And one way to convince this talent is first to bring some subject matter experts. Uh, think about we are an engineering company. We are full of engineers. We have complex projects to build power plants from the US to Mexico and South America in Brazil in remote locations. And imagine identifying audit experts that could provide or add value or even assurance in projects like that. Sometimes you need people with civil engineering experience or mechanical engineering. And one of the targets was to be closer to these groups and to identify, hey, can you provide inputs on this, on that? We have some requests from the board, from the audit committee, from the leadership to are we mitigating the risk that we have in these projects? Yes or no? So I approached some of the leaders with these ideas, and I would say that everybody they were very receptive. It was not part of like a traditional audit. Hey, you're gonna select a sample and test payments. No, we're gonna assess the risks and help the business to mitigate the risks as much as possible by providing assessments with experts and
There was
always
we're we're talking to on a separate episode, we're talking to, and depending on when this gets published, people may or may not have heard it, but we kind of closed the show, or one of the last questions was how to build a team or something to that effect. And he talked about how critically important the diversity of the team is in terms of background, and that's what I'm hearing from you also. So I love what you're saying.
partner with the business and at the same time show independence and objectivity. So the audit committee, the board, they wanted internal audit to cover the most relevant risks. One of the ways to do that is to present to the senior leadership and tell them, look, I have to do this. How can we work together? And of course, sometimes it's not comfortable. We have to take some people out of their comfort zone. But wait a minute, I thought that you would only test controls here. Yes, but we also have a responsibility to assess risks and provide inputs on that. And that's where we start to explore talent in other areas. And even when we open the recruitment to ask people with a data science background, with a data analytics background, zero audit experience. Uh, would you like to be part of this group? This is our plan. This is our vision that we are building. Uh, so that was part of this governance alignment. Another topic was the aligned assurance that I covered a few minutes ago. It's key to work with areas like compliance, IT, legal, finance, and many other support functions. I can mention health and safety as well. It's critical for the success of any internal audit function to have an aligned assurance. We cannot work in silos anymore. We cannot be islands. Hey, I need to be independent. Don't talk to me. I only execute audits. No, that's not how it works. And there are challenges sometimes in terms of okay, where's my limit, where is yours, but you have to be open to conversations, and you the chief auditor, the audit teams, you need to define where are your boundaries. We have the new global audit standards, right? And if you cover all of the new language, it's very clear the examples that the IIA they provide us. I think that it's very clear to define okay, where and how should I go. And in case of any questions, you have to discuss with your chief auditor or even the peers from these assurance functions, as I said. So here we partner with these functions to decide how to cover some aspects. And by the way, we don't do investigations here. The compliance team is the one doing investigations. And but we align with them. If you see some red flags based on some testing that we do, we communicate with them right away. And if they see something as part of their investigations that it might be a control failure or like the gate is open for a system control, we go there, we assess, and we discuss the remediation activities with the process owners.
I wanted to ask you a follow up question around the data scientist that you brought in. It's a pain that a lot of people deal with, and they go, we're going to go hire a data scientist. We'll plug them into audit. We'll be good to go on all things analytics and AI and everything else. And especially if they don't have the audit background, like the one you mentioned, you're a data scientist. That doesn't work very well, hardly ever. Um, you do have to know a little bit of both from my experience to be able to like at least manage that person, prioritize their projects, understand this shouldn't, that took you 10 hours. It should probably only take you like 5 or whatever the case is. Um, to have that knowledge. So with all that said, what was the process you guys kind of followed to go, hey, data science person who knows nothing about audit, welcome to the team. This is how we're going to make sure that you actually get utilized and you're not just kind of hanging out going, I don't have anything to do because nobody talks to me and knows how to use me.
One way to attract was to talk about technology, or to ask them what they are used to use or they are comfortable with. For instance, we have folks that they have experience with programming language, with Python. And in the past, we have used ACL to do some to implement some bots and do some regular testing. Always advocating from, instead of testing a limited sample, test the whole population. But uh, we should have an open mind to tell them, look, you are comfortable with Python. You don't need to use ACL just because we have ACL.
Right.
If you think that you're going to be more productive using Python, Alteryx, any tool that it's out there in the market, and you show us results, let's go for it. So we are too agnostic here. So we have our official tools, we have our audit management system, but at the same time, and we can fast forward. I will not bore anybody with methodology. I think that everybody knows what the high impact reporting is and etc. But how to attract these folks is to share a plan that, hey, we want to implement a continuous monitoring on certain topics. It can be payables, it can be access rights, it can be even risk management in the projects that I mentioned before that we have to implement. And what type of advanced analytics we can use. And at the same time, challenging them to, okay, we have this testing framework that we execute on a monthly basis. Let's say that we run a population of payments, and we have a set of rules to test, I don't know, 20, 30 key risk indicators. What do you suggest us to do more with less?
Mhm.
And sometimes I get ideas, hey, you know what we're doing manually, we can automate. We can implement a bot here and there. In the middle of the storm, we had everything around AI. We had ChatGPT, and all of the like large players, for instance, Microsoft with Copilot. Uh, Everybody's trying to surf on the wave. So in the past, you would need some programmers to code something. Now you just go to any large language model that you want to use. You ask the AI model to come with a code, and it will bring to it. And that was the transformation aspect that we had here on how to leverage this technology. And going back to the aligned assurance, partnering with IT. Every time that I want to test something, I go to our IT security team, our IT leaders, and tell them, look, we want to test these, and we want to partner with your teams as well. That happened, and it's happening with the Copilot. We are supporting the IT groups to test the security aspects of Copilot, and that's the way that we build interest. And these folks interested on what we are doing.
The responsibility of data acquisition and saying, like, going to IT, you going to them and going, this is what we want to do, basically help us do it. I think it's very important for the internal audit leader to be the one that does that. And it depends on the size of the organization and all that kind of good stuff. But for the most part, that is something that should fall on the CAE. I would have to go to them and go, we can't get this data. It's your job responsibility as the CAE to now go talk to the FSO, CFO and say, hey, we need this. This is what we're doing. We're having problem like that was, and I had, kind of coach a CAE basically through that. So it's great to hear that you're doing that. But okay, so I get how you have been able to convince like a data scientist to join audit. How do you get your auditors to communicate to the data scientist and say, hey, we want you to build this? Basically, they have to build up some level of data literacy to do that. So how do you, again, kind of keep the data scientist fully utilized? Or did you just come in and go, here's all the continuous monitoring I want you to do, go do it?
No, it's and probably some folks here, they are familiar with Simon Sinek and his book, like Start with Why. And in all of the audits initiatives, and we have to write a finding, I always come to my team and ask, so what? So there is no policy regulating A, B, and C. So what? What's the impact? Okay, it can be a non-compliance item. The process is not following the policy, or there is no policy. But what's the impact? What's the risk? Sometimes it's difficult for us to quantify a risk, right? But we have to put ourselves on the shoes of the top management. It's a comfortable zone for us to say there is a risk of financial and operational losses. Think about that old format in like old audit reports that I don't know what to write here in the risk column. You know what? Risk of operational losses and financial losses. That's too comfortable, right? And what we start to we anticipate these challenges that will come from the leadership, and we force them to think about the so what, and to think about the what do they need to do to fix it. We do not come with the solution. We are not babysitting anybody, but that's another way to keep them interested, to keep them with a continuous improvement mindset. So you tested this, there is an issue. It's clear for you the so what, the impact. What else do you need to do? Do we need to do to help the business to fix the issue? Oh, I think that we developed this continuous monitoring routine. We can help with, let's say, monitoring manual journal entries that they go over a certain threshold, and the corporate controller needs to be aware of. So little by little, baby steps, you developed a few things, you share with the business, you get them involved, and your audit team will use that. And here at Mitsubishi Power, and I mentioned that the co-sourcing aspect was something that I was not a big fan. I can tell you that now, when we started this journey with everything around doing a continuous monitoring, implementing advanced analytics, we felt the need of having some external support. And we were glad to be in touch with a team from PwC that these guys, they are going beyond their, I would say, their capabilities. Think about a real partner, and also challenging us on doing more. So we started with a traditional continuous monitoring model where we had a set of controls. We would test these controls on a monthly basis. We implemented some bots. We designed several risk indicators, traditional, static, and detective exceptions. And then we were discussing the exceptions with the action owners. They came to us and said, hey, do you want to take this to the next level? And it brings back to this chart. How can we enable additional technology to look ahead, to be more prescriptive, to identify indicators that can represent a loss in the future or an opportunity? And in the middle of this automation journey, we decided to do a pilot for process mining. So we did a pilot with Celonis in process mining, a use case specifically for internal audit, that we got the purchase to pay process from procurement to payables, and to identify first how the processes, the flows, they are behaving compared to a policy or the desired state, and what kind of indicators can we pull out and automatically notify the action owners. Let's say that your company has a standard payment terms of 30 or 60 days with their vendors. How are you auditing if the standard payment terms they are met? So are you taking a sample? Are you doing a spot check like every year? I test a few vendors, I go to the master data and get information. Or are you implementing a logic to identify, let's say, purchase orders created with payment terms of net 10 days, net 5 days, net 20 days? And fine, you can do that. You can get an exception report. That's the detective piece. But can you issue a notification, an auto notification to the PO creator or a process owner saying, hey, we are running our continuous monitoring based on our process mining tool that we have here. We were able to identify these purchase orders that were created yesterday or today that they do not follow our standards. And then what we're developing here is to create a sort of a SharePoint site that the action owners, they will go there, they will put a justification, or they will say, hey, that was a mistake. We are working with the vendor, or we were not able to have our most favorable payment terms with this vendor. It is what it is, and that's done. So that's the importance of our co-sourcing partner to bring these new ideas, to be very hands-on on the execution with us, with our teams in internal audit, uh, to come with something uh, more proactive. Uh, in my career, I have seen many audit shops that they were very comfortable with the testing piece, testing, reporting, done. Let me go to the other engagement, but not very careful with the follow-up process or even the continuous monitoring. Uh, are you measuring how a department that or a process that you're testing or assessing is improving or not? And then with these results, you can put in a Power BI dashboard. You can share the results with your audit committee, with the leadership, and tell them, look, this is improving or this is not. And you will need the support from the senior leadership if you want to make some changes. If you feel that some processes they are not improving, there's a change management aspect. Your senior leadership will need to be on your side, and you as a CAE, you need to be comfortable to come to them and say, "Hey, this is not improving. I need your help." And by the way, this is the so what. Here's the so what. This is why we are pointing these out, and here are the impacts. So that's the way that we blend our co-sourcing resources with our current audit team and with our stakeholders involved on all of these. And it's a circle. It goes back to the strategy. Sometimes we are testing or covering some processes, and we have to rethink about that after 6 months. Do we need to test these on a monthly basis, or should we move to a quarterly basis testing, or even biannual? If your control is operating as intended, probably you don't need to test on a monthly basis. And you, from time to time, you need to reset and rethink about uh, uh, how to calibrate your audit plan. So with technology, in this chart, you see that in red we have machine learning and artificial intelligence. I mentioned about Copilot. That's what we are using and trying to integrate. Machine learning, I believe that will come with our process mining solution with Celonis. So we are investing some time to work on the logic of the model that they have to, for instance, identify duplicate payments. And by the time that you use this model every month or every input that you have there, uh, you're able to improve the quality of the results. And that's something that usually auditors they are not very comfortable to work with. I do not have a extreme technical background to go and hey, let's talk about machine learning. But at the same time, we as auditors, we need to understand what's behind this technology. And this is connected to what the IIA has shared about the Vision 2035. If uh, uh, I recommend everybody to take a look at their uh, slides or documents around that. I believe they have a 5 or 10 minute video explaining a little bit more. In a nutshell, it shows that okay, in 10 years, how is going to be the audit profession? And it's all about embracing technology, embracing analytics, auditors being courageous to take an advisory role and moving away from their comfort zone to be partners of the business and to provide assurance with advisory. I don't see this happening if we don't work with technology. And technology is evolving. Probably, if we have a conversation in 1 week, 1 year, we're gonna have new topics, new solutions. Everything is changing uh, in a speed that it's difficult to follow. It's not that we need to implement every single solution that it's out there in terms of analytics, but at least we need to partner with the business. We need to hear from them. What are you doing in terms of hey, if you're going over an SAP upgrade, uh, what's out there? What are the ERP companies offering to us? And in my vision around that is, and if we think about process mining, is to hey, this is not an audit tool. We want the business to use it. So we want to share it along. So we would like our teams from IT, from procurement, from finance to use this tool as a resource. So okay, fine, it's a great audit tool. We are providing inputs. You need to fix it, but hey, it's out there. You can connect to your systems. You can make a good use and quickly address that. Uh, I don't want to be here to raise like 10 or 20 or 100 audit findings or action plans if we can avoid that and you can work on the tool to implement preventative measures to avoid something from happening. So that's the connectivity I would make with the Vision 2035. So if somebody's out there struggling to come with an audit vision. Oh, I have to come with a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. That reference material from the IA is very good to define, okay, where should I go? How can I start? And to have some ideas on how to implement things in the future.
All right, and we will look to get that some of those resources added to the show notes related to Vision 2035. So we'll drop those in the show notes for anyone who hears it and then goes, let me go check that out real quick. You should be able to click on that. So um, fantastic. You were doing it. My note just says Raphael is doing this thing the right way. Just everything that comes out is like, yes, that's how I would do it if I was in your position also. So huge fan. I know we do have one more image, so I'm gonna pull that up. And it's one some folks have probably seen. So again, for those that are watching on YouTube, we have another image pulled up and one that, like I said, you've probably seen before or something very similar. But if not, if you're, or at least if you're listening through iTunes, Spotify, something like that. What we're looking at is at the top, it says your plan. There's a person on a bicycle. There's a checkered flag to show when the race is going to be over. And it's just a smooth, straight line. And then the reality is below that, where there is a uh, huge ditch with rocks that you have to go over. There is some kind of bridge. There's a huge gap where it's full of water to ultimately get to the finish line. And so the overall idea is, yeah, you put the plan in place and it looks like it's going to be relatively straightforward. And then once you actually start executing on the plan, that's where you go, oh, this thing popped up, this thing popped up, and you have to tweak it along the way for sure. But it's definitely not as easy as the reality. The reality of it is that it's not as easy as it looks, kind of when you draw it out. That's my thought, Raphael. This is all you. I'll let you take it from here, though.
Yeah, and I can put some examples in our journey. So of course we wanted to have that straight, smooth line when implementing our next gen audit vision. But along the way, we have faced some challenges. If you think about your data analytics plan, your audit analytics, sometimes people they will come to you, hey, we have this situation. Can you help us automating testing on this so we can provide inputs? Sure, let's help. And sometimes we spend a lot of time trying to understand the process, trying to automate the testing that has so many variables just because somebody from the business they come to you and ask for help, which is great. But it's difficult to find a balance to say, hey, it's great that you came to us and asked for help. However, you have so many different systems in your process. Of course, after mapping, after doing a walkthrough, that we would not be successful right now mapping these. However, if you're able to reduce the activities in your process from 5 to 2 systems that we are familiar with, that we are already testing in our audit plan, yes, I can help you. And it's difficult to find this balance. So it's a little bit of a try and error. And we had experienced this situation with some processes that we wanted to automate some testing, include some RPAs, and we were not successful. So we learned from those experiences to say, hey, you know what? If it is a high complex activity or control that we want to automate the testing, let's quickly assess, but we need to make a decision. Everybody has a shortage of time, resources. We cannot spend hundreds of hours just to, yeah, let me try to do this. We have to dedicate our resources to things that we know that we'll be able to achieve. So we started to go to smaller processes. Uh, if you want to start payments, it's a good one. Not because of we run in an SAP environment, but any other ERPs. If you take a flow from what you what you procure, the purchase order, invoices, and payments, it's a logical flow. That's a good start. If you think it's too complex, you can work with access rights, or you can get a list of active employees, separated employees, contractors, and match with your list of users. There are some examples out there that you can show some successes. And by the time that you are successful with this type of testing, probably you'll be able to move to the other steps. But the reality picture, it can be comparable to your career, to your life goals, with data analytics and the audit plan using continuous monitoring and technology is the same thing. So we need to be prepared and ready to accept some errors, but at the same time, resilience. We need to be resilient. Uh, it's not easy to come with these new ideas with a change management mindset that will impact more people in the organization. But that's it. It's pretty simple. I think that your introduction was perfect. It's just to give everybody a sense of reality on when implementing these type of automations.
I know I said it earlier, Rafael, but I feel like you are doing it right. I mean, there's so many things that you are actually doing that you read on LinkedIn where some thought leader says, audit should be doing this. And somebody else writes an article that says audit should be doing this. And then you just don't see it always actually happen and the reality of that. And so literally in my notes, I put doing it right. And so I think you've done fantastic from everything that you've mentioned and conversations we've had kind of off the air. Anyway, with all that, thank you a ton for coming on and sharing everything that you have. I'm sure there's going to be audit leaders and internal auditors in general, leaders or not. They're going to take this and be able to actually run with it and do something with it. So thank you very much for your time and the level of detail that you went into that. So with that said, I'm going to hand you the microphone though. Close us out. What do you want to leave us with?
Thank you, Trent, for the opportunity to share my thoughts, some ideas, and what we have been doing here at Mitsubishi Power. My final message is to everybody listening is to be bold, be courageous, don't be shy. Try to get out of your comfort zones, experiment something new. It's important to have a partner in the business, especially an executive that would support you, even if it will come from the audit committee. But think about business leaders that you audit, that you'll be able to convince these people that, hey, what internal audit doing, it's important. The famous phrase, hey, we need to be here to add value. It's a little bit fluffy, right? Because what's value for you can be different to me, to a CFO, to a chief sales executive. But be bold, be courageous. If you have good ideas, and that's what we do here. Let's embrace automation technology. That's the future. If we want to be impactful and also to do some interesting things to ourselves, to our careers, don't be shy. That's my final message to everybody.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Audit Podcast. Whatever platform you're listening on right now, I'm sure there's a subscribe button somewhere, so please hit the subscribe button there. If you're listening through iTunes or Spotify, feel free to go give us that 5-star rating. It only took me about 16 seconds to give myself a 5-star review, and it really helps to get future guests to come on the show, so we'd really appreciate that. Lastly, be sure to check out the show notes and follow us on all our social media channels on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on TikTok. Also, if interested, please sign up for our weekly newsletter from the Audit Podcast. Thank you all. Have a great one.